Have you ever felt that your heart was waiting for something? Not a person, not a moment, but a divine intersection, a sacred encounter written before your first breath. Have you ever looked at your past and thought, there must be more to this pain than just coincidence? Because there is. If you've ever walked away from someone you loved deeply, not out of pride, but out of obedience. If you've ever cried yourself to sleep wondering why your love was never enough. If you've kept your heart clean in a world that glorifies corruption. This message is not just for you. It was made because of you. You are not ordinary, and your love story won't be either. This is not about finding someone. It's about recognizing what was already chosen. God has already sealed your destiny in love. Your soul is not wandering aimlessly. It's being guided, intentionally, precisely, prophetically. Every heartbreak you faced, every door that closed, every delay you couldn't understand, wasn't punishment. It was positioning. Because when the time comes, and it's coming, you won't beg to be loved. You'll be recognized. Stay here. Because what I'm about to reveal may shake your understanding of love, timing, and destiny forever. And if you're truly ready to receive what heaven has aligned for you, hit the like button right now. Subscribe if your spirit is hungry for deeper truths. And comment 99 if you believe God is completing something in your life. Why 99? Because 9 is the number of divine finality, and double 9 means a spiritual contract is being sealed. The wait is almost over. Let's begin. There's a reason your love has never felt ordinary, a reason why you couldn't connect the way others do, why surface-level conversations bored you, why temporary pleasures left you feeling emptier than before. You were never created for shallow love. You were crafted for something eternal, something raw, pure, and prophetic. Before you were born, God didn't just give you a heart. He engraved His fingerprints on it. He didn't just want you to love. He wanted you to reflect His love. That's why your path has been different. That's why people never understood your intensity, because they weren't meant to. You feel deeply, not because you're weak, but because your soul was forged for covenant, and covenant scares the world. In a generation that celebrates detachment, you've carried a loyalty they can't comprehend. You've stayed when others ran. You've forgiven when others mocked you for it. You've believed when no one else did. You weren't naive. You were chosen. You weren't too emotional. You were set apart. Every time you gave your love and it was rejected, heaven took note. Every time you stayed kind while being betrayed, the angels stood in silence, watching, recording, honoring. You weren't just going through heartbreak, you were being consecrated. Because here's a truth very few understand. God doesn't give a powerful love to an untested heart. And your heart has been tested through fire. But unlike the world, you didn't harden. You didn't let bitterness win. You stayed soft. You stayed sacred. That's not weakness. That's rare spiritual strength. And now, something is shifting. Can you feel it? The same heart that was once ignored is now being positioned to be honored. The same loyalty that was once overlooked will soon be your divine signature, because heaven doesn't forget what hell tried to destroy. There's a prophetic alignment happening even now, a preparation in the unseen. And what's coming for you won't just be love. It will be recognition. It will be resonance. It will be the kind of union that makes time stop, because your spirit will finally feel home. And here's the mystery most miss. You weren't waiting for a person. You were waiting for a match to your mission, and heaven is finally saying, now they're ready. But what if I told you? The delay wasn't about time, it was about your transformation. Because in the next part, you'll discover the battle your love life has faced, and why hell tried so hard to block it. Don't blink. The truth will explain everything. Have you ever wondered why your love life has been the battlefield of your story? Why? Every time you got close to something real, it slipped away. Why connections that seemed promising turned out to be illusions. Why betrayal felt too personal, too strategic, like something deeper was interfering. Let me tell you something that most people don't dare say out loud. You weren't being punished. You were being protected. What you carry is not ordinary attraction, it's divine frequency. And when two people carrying that same frequency come together, heaven moves. But so does hell, because the enemy doesn't attack casual love. He attacks unions that are destined to build, to heal, to awaken. He attacks what threatens his kingdom. And your union? It does. The enemy saw it before you did. He recognized the power your union would unlock. So he launched his strategy. Distractions, delays, counterfeits. People who looked right, felt right, sounded right, but weren't right. Not because they were evil, but because they were misaligned. Some came just to drain your oil, some were sent to confuse your intuition. Some even mimicked the language of your soul, but couldn't handle the weight of your calling. And maybe you asked yourself, how did I fall for that again? How did I miss the signs? But listen closely, you didn't fail, you discerned. And that awareness was the lesson that matured your spirit, because what's ahead will require a love that's not just emotional but prophetic. So God began hiding you, yes, hiding. Not because you're unworthy, but because your presence is too sacred to be exposed carelessly. He's been covering you in the spirit, shielding you from people who could contaminate your purpose, guarding your soul from atmospheres that could distort your vision. Even when you felt lonely, even when you begged heaven for connection, God said, not yet. I'm preserving what's rare. You're not behind schedule. You're on divine lockdown. Because the one he's preparing for you is also being refined through the fire. And when it's time, the release will be instant. No confusion, no tug of war, just clarity, recognition, and peace. But until then, God will continue to frustrate every connection that isn't aligned with your purpose. And though it hurts, he's doing it out of mercy. Because if the enemy had his way, you would have been entangled in a soul tie that looked like a blessing but would have silently assassinated your destiny. And that is something God will never allow. So yes, he let some people walk away. He exposed the lies. He revealed what was hidden. He made it impossible for you to stay in what was slowly killing you. Why? Because your union has kingdom weight. It will shake atmospheres. It will birth movements. It will break generational chains. And hell knows it. So now you understand. It wasn't rejection. It was redirection. It wasn't failure. It was fortification. And the very love the enemy tried to delay is the one God is now releasing with holy fire. But before we step into that moment, you need to understand something deeper. Because what's happening next isn't just about you and someone else. It's about timing. And God's timing is never random. In the next part, I'll show you how divine alignment has been shaping your story behind the scenes, and why every second of waiting was part of heaven's blueprint. Get ready. You've asked it in your tears. You've screamed it in your prayers. God, why not now? Why, after all the healing, all the surrender, all the heartbreak, do you still feel like you're waiting? Why does it seem like others find love easily, while your heart still walks alone? But what if I told you? You were never really waiting for love. You were waiting for the moment when heaven aligns the sacred with the destined. Because God doesn't send what's holy into chaos. He doesn't release divine unions into spiritual immaturity. You see, love in the flesh comes quickly. It seduces, it flashes, it burns, then it vanishes. But love in the spirit waits for precision. It waits until your soul is not just available, but prepared. Until your purpose is not just discovered, but activated. Until your identity is not just spoken, but embodied. This is why you had to go through the wilderness. why you were pruned, isolated, refined, why your heart had to be stripped from attachments that couldn't go where God was leading you. Because the person God is preparing for you isn't coming to complete you. They're coming to co-labor with you. This is not about romantic fulfillment. It's about spiritual expansion. They won't just hold your hand. They'll carry your vision. They'll intercede with you. They'll protect your anointing like it's their own. You're not waiting for someone to love you. You're being aligned with someone who was born to build with you. Mission, purpose, legacy. This kind of love doesn't rush. It's too heavy with destiny to arrive prematurely. So, every no was not a rejection. It was God's mercy in disguise. Every person who walked away, every door that slammed shut, every connection that dissolved without closure, was heaven whispering, I'm making space for what's eternal. And maybe you've looked around and thought, am I behind? Did I miss it? But God says, you're not behind. You're in divine timing. And because here's the sacred mystery. Delay in the natural is often acceleration in the spirit. What feels slow on earth is often lightning fast in heaven's design. While you thought nothing was happening, God was synchronizing events, circumstances, growth and encounters in ways you couldn't see. He was preparing two hearts, in two different places, to collide in one divine moment that would change everything. No striving, no confusion, no endless waiting games. When heaven says now, what once felt distant becomes inevitable. And when it happens, you'll understand why the wait was so intense, why the silence was so loud, why the wilderness was so long. Because God wasn't just preparing a relationship, He was preparing a revelation. And the moment that person walks into your life, your spirit will recognize it before your mind does. It won't feel like fireworks. It will feel like peace. The kind of peace that silences years of searching. The kind of peace that confirms everything your heart always knew. But you must trust this. Divine timing is not about delay, it's about alignment. And the seal on your love story requires that both of you arrive ready. Not half awake, not half healed, not half committed, but fully present, fully aligned, fully surrendered. So the next time you ask, God, when will it be my turn? Remember, He's not just bringing you someone to love, He's bringing you someone to partner with for eternity. And that takes time. But when it arrives, you'll realize it was never late. It was right on time. Now hold on, because in the next part, we're diving deeper into a hidden truth that changes everything. What if they're already thinking about you, already feeling the pull toward you, even if they don't know your name yet? What if your souls are already connected, and God is about to let the veil drop? Keep watching, because what comes next will open your eyes. What if the ache you feel isn't just your own? What if someone, somewhere, is walking through their own wilderness, and every step they take is leading them closer to you, even if you've never seen their face, even if you've never spoken a word? Because God doesn't anoint half a covenant. He prepares both hearts for the weight of what's to come. And while you've been learning to let go, to rise above the pain, to surrender your timeline and trust the divine, they have too. You're not the only one who cried after being misunderstood. You're not the only one who stayed loyal to someone who couldn't see your worth. You're not the only one who prayed, God, don't let me settle. Somewhere out there, your future partner is being refined, quietly, privately, painfully, and the same fire that's been purifying you has been purifying them, because a divine union requires more than attraction. It requires alignment of wounds and wisdom. God doesn't just bring two healed people together. He brings two aware people, souls who've faced their shadows, who've wrestled with the weight of their calling, who've said yes to the process, even when it broke them. That's the kind of foundation that can carry eternal love. They're learning how to protect what's sacred, how to lead with integrity, how to walk in spiritual authority without becoming prideful. They're letting go of distractions, cutting ties with what no longer reflects their purpose, daring to believe that maybe, just maybe, there's someone out there who gets it, someone like you. And when the time comes, when heaven gives the signal, you won't need to chase, you won't need to guess. There will be no confusion, no situationship, no mixed energy, because divine unions don't begin with chaos. They begin with recognition. Your spirit will know them. The way stars know the sky, the way oceans know the moon. It won't be fireworks, it will be stillness. A sacred pause where everything inside you says, it's them. And when your eyes meet, you'll feel something ancient awaken, because the connection didn't begin when your bodies met. It began before time, before the earth had form, before your first heartbreak, before your first breath. It began as a whisper in the throne room of heaven. Let these two carry something the world will never understand, but will be changed by. And that's why the wait has been so intense, because the enemy doesn't fight empty unions. He fights the ones that carry eternal weight, the ones that birth movements, the ones that raise world changers, the ones that carry prophetic momentum. So yes, God has been working in you, but He's also been working in them. And even now, they might be feeling that same invisible pull, the same restlessness, the same sense that something or someone is coming. Because your spirits have been orbiting closer and closer, waiting for divine permission to collide. And when it happens, it won't make logical sense. It won't follow the timeline you expected, but it will feel like destiny, because it is. So breathe. The process hasn't been in vain. You're not the only one fighting. You're not the only one hoping. You're not the only one chosen. And the most powerful part? They've been asking God for you, without even knowing your name. But soon, very soon, they'll see your face and know, this is what I was waiting for. But before that moment arrives, you must understand something deeper. Because love isn't just arriving at the right time. It's arriving when you're aligned with the right frequency. And that means paying attention to the signs that your season is about to shift. In the next part, we'll decode those divine signals, the hidden evidence that your love story is already activating, and the spiritual clues that prove the seal is real. There comes a moment before the promise arrives, when your soul starts to shift. A moment where your heart begins to feel things you can't explain, not because you're broken, but because something sacred is awakening. Lately, have you felt emotions rising without a trigger? Moments of sudden intensity, tears out of nowhere, an overwhelming longing that doesn't quite make sense. This isn't just loneliness. It's not just emotional overflow. It's activation. Your spirit knows what your mind hasn't caught up with yet. The time is near. You're not going crazy. You're being tuned. Your spiritual frequency is adjusting to match what God is about to release. And as that frequency rises, you begin to notice the signs. You keep seeing the number 2 on clocks, receipts, addresses. It's not random. 2 is the number of divine partnership, covenant, agreement, balance. It's God's way of saying, get ready. I'm bringing the one who will walk beside you. You've had dreams, vivid ones, of weddings, of holding hands with someone you can't fully see, of walking through doors with another presence beside you. You wake up with a sense of fullness, or sometimes deep emotion. These dreams are not fantasy. They are prophetic previews. Heaven is whispering, look, this is what's coming. And then, something even more radical happens. You suddenly lose all interest in what once distracted you. The temporary no longer tempts you. The casual connections don't hold weight. You can't entertain conversations that feel empty or superficial. Why? Because your soul has upgraded. It's no longer compatible with anything that doesn't reflect your destiny. That disinterest, that inner resistance to almost relationships. It's confirmation. You've outgrown what wasn't meant to hold you. This is alignment in motion. Your standards are no longer based on loneliness, but on purpose. You don't chase. You attract. You don't perform. You embody. You've started carrying yourself differently. There's a glow in your presence, a depth in your silence, an unspoken authority in your posture. Why? Because when your love destiny is being activated, your soul begins preparing for royalty. You're no longer asking, will they choose me? You're discerning, are they sent? Because you've come too far, sacrificed too much, healed too deeply to entertain anything that wasn't written in heaven. And if you've felt more spiritually sensitive lately, more intuitive, more discerning, more aware of energies around you, that's another sign. The veil is thinning. You're starting to perceive the spiritual shifts that precede divine encounters. Some of you are even feeling the pull toward a place, a decision, a bold change. Not knowing why, but sensing that something or someone is waiting on the other side. Pay attention. The instructions may come through a whisper, a number, a repeated phrase you hear everywhere. Because God speaks in patterns. And when your love destiny is being activated, nothing is random anymore. The people who leave suddenly, part of the clearing. The old memories that resurface, part of the closure. The divine nudges to release control, to rest, to trust, part of the preparation. And in the silence of it all, you'll feel something sacred rise inside you, a knowing, not from your mind, but from your spirit. That knowing says, it's close. You may not see them yet, but they're near. You may not hear the knock, but heaven is already turning the key. And soon, very soon, you'll understand why all the pain had purpose, why the waiting was necessary, why your no's were sacred, and why this union couldn't be rushed, because it was sealed. But before you receive what's coming, you must step into one final truth. A truth so powerful, it will rewire the way you see your own love story. Because what's about to be revealed isn't just a conclusion, it's your divine activation. Stay with me. The final revelation is about to unlock something unstoppable. Chosen one, take a deep breath. Let everything you've just heard settle into your spirit. Because this moment wasn't just content, it was confirmation. You are not delayed. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You've been in hiding because what's inside you is too sacred to be wasted. Your love story was never meant to fit into the world's timeline, because it was written in a different realm, not in pain, but in light. Not in chaos, but in divine orchestration. Every heartbreak was a redirection. Every almost was a filter. Every lonely season was sacred preparation. God wasn't punishing you. He was protecting something too rare to be rushed. And now, the seal is set. The scroll is unfolding. The divine appointment is approaching. What's coming isn't just a partner. It's a mirror to your mission, a match to your frequency, a witness to your rebirth. They will not just love you. They will understand you. Protect your anointing. See what heaven saw in you before you ever spoke a word. This union will not be built on games, guessing, or fear, but on truth, timing, and divine fire. Your heart has been through the wilderness, but it's coming out crowned. You are no longer someone who hopes to be chosen. You are someone who has been sealed. You are the proof that sacred love still exists, that God still writes impossible stories. That alignment is greater than timing, and obedience is stronger than desire. So speak this with boldness. My love story is sealed. I will not settle. I will wait for what heaven wrote for me. Type it in the comments now. I receive my divine union, not as a wish, as a prophetic declaration, because your agreement activates acceleration. This is not the end of your waiting. This is the beginning of your fulfillment. And as you read these final words, something inside you already knows. They're coming. Not by accident, not by chance, but by divine design. So get ready. Because when heaven opens a door, No man,